8 years of creating content and being in college in 20 minutes. I promise that after this video, you will have the best concept about being in college and at the same time being a content creator. And I promise that what you will see here, you can never unseen it. And the way that I'm gonna tell you is I'm gonna give you the stories, I'm gonna give you the biggest turning points and the lessons, and I'm gonna give you a secret of mine. So it all started about 8 years ago. I started making content regularly, okay? I met with a friend and I said, you know what, let's make content. Let's do this entertainment idea that I've seen on YouTube. So it's not original, but it was something. Little did I know that that will never stop. And look, I'm not alone. Because I know that so many people are the same shoe, and they get to the point when they say, should I go to college or do content creation? But my content creation is not that big of a earning or income stream for me to actually leave college, okay? Or it doesn't make money at all. So what should I do in this situation? The answer is that you can do them both. And I even look, just to make sure that everything is real, this is based on the data. I analyzed myself for the past 13 months, including school, including college, including content creation. More importantly, I went to a therapist and I spoke to her about these topics to verify. So these things are verified by the therapist. So one of the most important stuff that my therapist told me is, I was going to her and I felt like overwhelmed, okay? So in one segment, I was telling her about all of the overwhelming stuff, okay? I was like, I have this, I do this, and I have this responsibility, I do this, and I really want to quit school. She said, what do you want? I said, I want to work on my brand. She was like, okay, so what is this brand? I was explaining to her. She was like, look, there's a lot of people in your situation that don't have this struggle at all. I was like, dude, what? What are you speaking about? Like, you're my therapist. You should not here roast me. But she's like, really? She said, I know people, which changed everything. Imagine the therapist. She said, I know people that are not only in college, but are working and doing and working on businesses. So it's the same thing as you. And the best thing is that according to the data, that the people that will stay in business or do whatever, so stay in business, work, stay in college in this situation, and start the startup company or whatever project they want, there's a 33% more likelihood that they will succeed. And this is a research done by Oxford for 5,000 students. It's like, okay, 5,000 people who did a startup and this, she was like, yes. And she said, I know people that have done this thing, and at some point their business was bringing so much cash flow that they just left what they were doing in the first place. I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. But this didn't make as much of a sense until I've read this one-liner from the 4-Hour Workweek. So the 4-Hour Workweek is one of the greatest books of all time, but there is one line that changed it all, which is this. He says, a lot of people are having this struggle to choose between one thing and the other, as if that is the only choice. But I'm going to show you how you can do them both. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? And he was like, yes. So the 4-Hour Workweek, if you're not familiar or you haven't read the book, the 4-Hour Workweek makes you, literally as the title goes, is that you have your dream life with 4 hours of work every week. So I didn't finish the book yet, okay? But just in the point that I am in, it's enough to comprehend the essence that is related to what I'm speaking about, okay? So the fact that speaks in the book, one of the greatest, most best-selling books of entrepreneurship of all time that every entrepreneur has read, says that you can do whatever you're doing and doing whatever you want. In this situation, stay in college and make content, which is what I'm doing right now. So just, I'm gonna give you, if you want more than that, okay, sure. Right now, I'm currently doing internship and going to college. So about 8 hours every single day, 5 times a week. And I still create content. Okay? And all the time. Like the past year, I've made hundreds of content. If you want pieces of content, I'm pretty sure that in the past week, there's a lot of days that I was uploading 24 pieces of content. It's pretty huge, isn't it? So it shows you a lot about that. I know something that you want to hear. I think the most important trick that I know. So if I can delete everything of my mind and just leave one rule, it will be this rule that my business mentor has told me, who's my older brother. I was sitting with him and he said, look, you're not making the goals as you should. And that shocked me, dude, because listen to this. I'm an all goal person. I do goal all the time. I made goals for the past 5 years. You're telling me I'm not doing goal as I should be? He said, look, when you make goals, make them for 2 weeks, not more. I said, what? He said, yes. He said, because when you make goals and you give yourself a very long period, it's more likely that your circumstances will change. We cannot expect that our life will remain the same in 3 months or 4 months or 1 year. So he said, when you make 2 weeks, it's more likely that you will have a great idea about what's gonna happen. And that's usually what happens, which makes you able to actually execute the plan perfectly. At first I was like, okay, this sounds great, right? But is it actually effective? I've done that 1, 2, 3 times, it didn't work. But I felt that there is something, I just have no clue about how to actually use it. Until I read this one thing. So Elon Musk uses something called the Parkins Law. The Parkins Law is literally making goals that takes X amount and do it in third of amount of time, or even less, 10% amount of time, 5% amount of time. And this always uses the psychology of the Parkins Law, that's what it's called, right? And it consists that the gas will always explode with the size of the container. As an example, Elon Musk do this all the time. He says in a conference very early on in his career, he says, look, get those 10 years goals that you have and make them your goal for the next 6 months. This will not only give you the chance that you will actually achieve them, but by definition, you will be in a better position than all of your competitors, that they actually accepted the fact of perspective that it will only take them 10 years. But you have the perspective that it will take you 6 months. And people talks like, just if you don't want to hear Elon Musk, you can read the entire book and see that all the time. You don't want that. Even in Twitter. When he actually bought Twitter, X right now, he told them, you know what are you going to do? You're going to get all of these servers from all the places and you're going to put them in this one place. They were like, dude, you're insane. He was like, you're going to do it. And you're going to do it in the next 2 months. They were like, this is insane. They calculated, they did all of this, and they were, look, Musk, the shortest period of time that we can do this is 6 months. We can't do this. Like, this is insane that we're gonna do it in 6 months. I was like, do it in 2 months. They didn't, okay? And about 1 week later, Elon Musk was flying in an airplane, private jet. He was flying in his private jet with his family members, not all of them, but few of them, because some of them actually work in his company. So he said, you know what? Let's go to the place where the servers are at. He went there. Guess what he did? He moved the entire service in 2 weeks. They said it can only take 6 months. He did it by his own in a crazy story in 2 weeks, which portrays exactly the Parkins Law, which is used by all of your favorite entrepreneurs, all by your favorite successful content creators, and also like if you're in the educational system, it's used all the time. So okay, now you use the Parkin's law. Awesome, great. You understand this, but you still are like, okay, now I'm gonna use the Parkin's law. I understand that I shouldn't drop out of college, so I should go do college, but also I should do content creation. So how can I balance between the two? Okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do volume, then you're gonna do better, then you're gonna do new, okay? Which is the rule by Alex Hormozi, but I changed it a little bit, okay? Because this is a little bit, of a thing. Why I tell you volume is that at first you'll make the only volume. If you're just started, I'm gonna give you the other option too. You have to make so much volume with your content to comprehend what actually works and what not. So you collect the data. Okay, that's number one. That's all what you have to do. Just volume. Content creation, just do volume. And your school, you can do the same, but it's still up to you. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so you're gonna do volume. Once you have the data and you can analyze and make the decisions, you put those decisions and you add them to the same volume. And it will be easier then, okay? So you do the volume and you do decisions. As an example, you did 100 videos and you realize that, well, let's say, when you wear suits, your videos do better. You wear suits probably every video after that. That's a decision. And you keep doing that forever. And the same thing, you do it for school. You will look at it and you're like, okay, what's the 20% of the effort that I put in that gives me 80% of the results? Is it, let's say, presentations? Is it taking notes? Is it preparing for the actual exam? Is it actually going to the lecture? Is it whatever it is? Write it down and focus on those 20%. And instead of focusing on the 80%, that gives you only 20% of the results, which is also like very known rule. It's 20-80% rule. And doing this, you sort of understand that you're going to do the best 20% here that gives you 80% of the results, and you're doing here the 20% that gives you 80% of the results. So it's not 200%, it's really just 40%. And you get 160% of the results. Isn't that awesome? Of course it is. And the thing is that you still have 60% of your time that you can do more of those 20% that are the most effective. So this is just a quick way to comprehend, okay? I'm gonna give you a story, okay? So my best year so far in my content creation journey, it was 1 year where in 6 months I grew my channel from 0 to 30,000 subscribers and later on to 50,000 subscribers. And I made videos that combined probably right now have over 4 or so million views. Just on YouTube. I'm not speaking on the other platforms because that's like big. And I only did it based on the phase that I was actually in school, in the educational system, and at the same time creating and building what I was building. In fact, the biggest video that I did of all time right now yet, it was a video that I made when I first got into college. So in the transition, I was 2 weeks in, I made the video. It has like 3.3 million views right now on YouTube. This shows a lot. That tells you that you shouldn't just pick one or two. And as a contrast, to show you more, in the year, because at some point I dropped out of college, in that year, it was the worst year of my content creation. As results and as input. So as input and output, it was horrible. And you're like, okay. So it's not only that I will have two things, but it's like take it all or leave it all type of situation. It's whether you do college and you do content creation or you do nothing. Then you're like, oh. But now I comprehend, like I have to do them both. And for my alpha males out there that have a lot of testosterone, even if you're female, this happens to you, is sometimes you might get into those situations when you want to drop out of school because you believe that I truly believe in what I do and that I want to burn all the bridges. It's a very solid point. Like I even chatted with AI about this and I was like, hey, here's what I think. And here's all of the information and data that I have. So what do you think? I was like, this is a pretty tricky situation. And I used very precise prompts to not get those answers that are shitty, you know? And if I think ChatGPT is being a pussy, I'm telling them, then I'm like, don't be a pussy, dude. Just give me what I want. Give me what I want. And in this situation, actually, ChatGPT was like, this is tricky. Like, you have to do this, this, this. And the thing is, like, if you're going through that, dude, it's tough and it's rough. And I know because the more disciplined you are, the easier it is to get into those situations, because I got into this situation and I was furious in a few days. I even got into a fight with a man, of which that doesn't happen often, right? I got into a fight just because I was in that phase. I was furious. And this guy was telling me about this bullshit. I was like, dude, I'm not going to tell me about that. How dare you? And I punched him, you know, and I gave him a kick. I know I'm a good athlete and I can fuck up anyone who I want, but I was like, you know, actually it was great. I'm not gonna act here as if like I'm some pussy or like I love fighting and I love conflicts, but I understood that there was something like, you know, I went to the therapist, I told her about all of that, and it went through an entire process of about 1 month to realize like what happened. To comprehend it, because I was I went all in. People call it monk mood, whatever. I was all in, driven, then got that. And the thing you have to comprehend is that this. The only thing, so before you think about breaking down, from you dropping out of college to pursue your dreams, do this one thing. If you can do college and do whatever you want, in this case content creation, and you make content creation works, then you are unable to make content creation works if you drop out of college. Because times will get harder, your responsibilities will get better, it will get bigger at the time. Your time will shrink down. So this situation, think about it as a simulation of the future. You will have to do content creation, but you have all of these responsibilities and other stuff that you have to put your time in. Okay? Whether that be in marriage, kids, whatever it is for you. Okay? You will have those responsibilities that will take your time, but you will still have to make content creation work. So think about it as a simulation or a test. You have to make it work and make your college work. And before you go to YouTube and you type dropout, college dropout experience, they all will tell you one thing, is that college dropout was awesome. Because guess what? Everything is awesome if you're gonna make a YouTube video about it. If I make a YouTube video about how I drank water, probably I would say of how awesome that drinking of a water was and how I was fairly hydrated. I felt hydrated. Okay? And, you know, I want you to track them down. Like, track them about first 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years after that, and see where they're gonna be. Okay, so I truly believe in this, and even my therapist agreed so much because she said it just makes all the sense. And look, I know a lot of people have this thing against therapists. I understand. If you truly believe yourself that you are capable and you want to burn all bridges, college is not the thing to delete. Because literally, college is a test for you to make it in college and make it in whatever you want. You make sure that you can make it work, although you have something else that you have to make it work. It will It will build your stress tolerance. It will make your time management better. And it will sharpen your skills in this content creation or business or whatever industry or venture you want to go in. So it will just make you a better of an individual. And if you think you can only do one, you probably are not good at neither of them. Right? Because once you are at least some level of knowing what you're doing, you can do other stuff. And that's why you see every content creator right now is doing two things. He has a brand and he has content creation. He has doing this thing and doing this. Everyone's doing that. Like you see that Kim Kardashian video when she was like, I'm a college student, I'm a law student, and whatever, I'm a billionaire and all of that. It's like because that's how it works. Usually that's how it works. So if you can't stand the test of being in college and doing content creation, probably you're not gonna make it in content creation anyway. Even if you drop out, you do all of the bullshit, you burn bridges. So you might as well do it, content creation, do it in college, and prove to the world who you are. As I told you, I promised, what you will see here, you can never unseen. Now, you can do whatever you want. Subscribe.